The ship was a joke. At least, that's what everyone called it. A rusted, creaking heap of metal that looked like it had been salvaged from a scrapyard rather than a starship factory. The Galactic Union had handed it over to humanity as a gesture of goodwill when they joined the interstellar community. But everyone knew the truth, it was a slap in the face. A reminder that humans were the newcomers, the underdogs, the ones who didn't belong. The ship's official name was the Starblade, but the crew had already renamed it the Rust Bucket. It was slow, outdated, and barely functional. Its weapons were laughable, its shields paper-thin, and its engine sputtered more than they roared. The Galactic Union had assured humanity that it was perfectly adequate for their needs. But the humans knew better. It was a hand-me-down, a relic from a bygone era, and it was all they had. Captain Alex, a grizzled veteran with a sharp mind and a sharper tongue, stood on the bridge of the Rust Bucket, staring out at the stars. His crew, a ragtag group of misfits and dreamers, worked quietly behind him. There was Mia, the brilliant but sarcastic engineer who could make anything work, even if it was held together by duct tape and prayers. Then there was Jake, the pilot with a knack for pulling off impossible maneuvers, and Rhea, the quiet but deadly weapons specialist who could turn even the most useless gun into a precision instrument. The crew had been assigned to the Rust Bucket as a punishment, a way to keep them out of sight and out of mind. But Alex saw potential where others saw junk. He had a feeling, a gut instinct, that this ship was more than it seemed. As the crew prepared for their first mission, a simple patrol near the edge of human space, Mia made a discovery. Buried deep within the ship's systems was a strange, encrypted file. It didn't match any known Galactic Union technology. Curious, she began to decode it, her fingers flying over the console. "What's this?" she muttered, her brow furrowing. Alex turned to her. "What have you got?" "I'm not sure," Mia replied. "But it's old. Really old. And it's not Galactic Union tech. It's something else." The crew gathered around as Mia finally cracked the encryption. The file contained schematics, blueprints, and instructions for a system that didn't exist on any known ship. It was called the Eclipse Protocol. "What the hell is this?" Jake asked, leaning over Mia's shoulder. "I don't know," Mia said, her eyes wide. "But if these schematics are right, this ship isn't what we thought it was. It's something more." Alex felt a thrill of excitement. He had always suspected that the Rust Bucket was hiding something. And now, it seemed, they were about to find out what. As the crew began to piece together the mystery, they realized that the Rust Bucket wasn't just a useless hand-me-down. It was a relic from a forgotten era, a ship designed for a purpose no one remembered. And if they could unlock its secrets, it might just become humanity's ultimate weapon. But first, they had to survive long enough to figure it out. The crew of the Rust Bucket worked tirelessly over the next few days, decoding the mysterious Eclipse Protocol. The schematics were unlike anything they had ever seen. The technology was ancient, yet far more advanced than anything the Galactic Union currently used. It was as if the ship had been designed by a civilization that had mastered the stars long before the Union even existed. Mia, the engineer, was the first to piece together what the protocol did. "It's not just a weapon or a shield," she explained, her voice tinged with awe. "It's a complete overhaul of the ship's systems. This thing can reconfigure itself, adapt to any situation. It's like, the ship is alive." Alex leaned over her shoulder, studying the holographic display. "Can we activate it?" Mia hesitated. "I think so. But it's risky. If we trigger the protocol and something goes wrong, we could tear the ship apart. Or worse." Alex didn't flinch. "Do it." The crew exchanged nervous glances but didn't argue. They trusted Alex, and they all knew this was their only shot at turning the Rust Bucket into something more than a laughingstock. As Mia began the activation sequence, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared, and the lights flickered. For a moment, it seemed like the ship would tear itself apart. Then, just as suddenly, everything went silent. The crew held their breath, waiting. Then, the ship came alive. The walls shifted, panels sliding open to reveal hidden compartments filled with strange, glowing machinery. The consoles on the bridge lit up with new controls and displays, showing data streams in a language none of them recognized. The engines, once sputtering and weak, now hummed with a deep, powerful resonance. What the hell just happened? Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Mia grinned. The Eclipse protocol just rewrote the ship's entire system. It's like we're on a completely different vessel. Alex stepped forward, running a hand over one of the newly revealed panels. This changes everything. If we can figure out how to use this tech, we won't just be another backwater crew. We'll be a force to reckon with. But their celebration was short-lived. A proximity alert blared, snapping them back to reality. Rhea, the weapons specialist, checked the sensors. We've got company. A Galactic Union patrol ship. They're hailing us. Alex frowned. Patch them through. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the stern face of a Union officer. This is Captain Valen of the Galactic Union patrol ship Dawnstar. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. Alex straightened, his voice calm and confident. This is Captain Alex of the human vessel Starblade. We're on a routine patrol. Valen's eyes narrowed. Your ship's signature doesn't match any known configuration. Explain yourselves. Alex exchanged a quick glance with Mia. They hadn't anticipated this. The Eclipse protocol had altered the ship's energy signature, making it unrecognizable to Union scanners. Before Alex could respond, Valen's expression hardened. You are ordered to power down your engines and prepare for boarding. Failure to comply will result in immediate action. The transmission cut off, leaving the crew in stunned silence. They're not going to let us go, Rhea said, her voice tense. If they board us, they'll find the Eclipse protocol. And if they do... She didn't need to finish the sentence. The crew knew what would happen. The Union would seize the ship, strip it for parts, and leave humanity with nothing. Alex made a decision. Jake, plot a course out of here. Rhea, get the weapons online. Mia, keep working on the protocol. We're not letting them take this ship. The crew sprang into action. Jake's hands flew over the controls, plotting a risky jump through a nearby asteroid field. Rhea activated the ship's newly revealed weapons, which hummed with a strange, otherworldly energy. Mia continued to decipher the protocol, searching for anything that could give them an edge. The Dawnstar opened fire, its energy beams lancing toward the rust bucket. But the ship's new shields held, absorbing the impact with ease. Shields at 90%, Rhea reported, her voice steady. Weapons ready. Alex nodded. Return fire. The ship's weapons unleashed a burst of energy, striking the Dawnstar with pinpoint accuracy. The Union ship reeled, its shields flickering. Jake grinned. They didn't see that coming. But the Dawnstar wasn't done. It launched a swarm of drones, each one armed and deadly. Evasive maneuvers. Alex barked. Jake yanked the controls, sending the ship into a dizzying spin. The drones pursued, their weapons firing relentlessly. Mia shouted over the chaos. I think I've got something. The protocol has a cloaking function. If I can activate it. Do it. Alex ordered. Mia's fingers danced over the console. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the ship shimmered and vanished from sight. The drones, suddenly without a target, spiraled aimlessly before retreating to the Dawnstar. The crew let out a collective breath. We're invisible, Mia said, her voice filled with disbelief. The ship's completely off their sensors. Alex allowed himself a small smile. Good work. Now let's get out of here before they figure out what just happened. As the rust bucket slipped away, cloaked and undetected, the crew realized they were no longer just a ragtag group of misfits. They were the crew of a ship that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. And they were just getting started. The rust bucket, now anything but useless, streaked through the void, cloaked and silent. The crew sat in stunned silence on the bridge, still processing what had just happened. They had outmaneuvered a Galactic Union patrol ship, something no human vessel had ever done before. Alex broke the silence. Mia, how long can we stay cloaked? Mia checked the console. The system's stable, but it's draining power. We've got maybe an hour before we need to drop the cloak and recharge. Alex nodded. Jake, set a course for the outer rim. Somewhere quiet, where we can figure out what this ship can really do. Jake nodded, his hands moving swiftly over the controls. Already on it, Captain. As the ship glided through the darkness, the crew began to explore the changes the Eclipse protocol had brought. The once dilapidated interior was now sleek and advanced, with glowing panels and hidden compartments revealing tools and systems they couldn't even name. Rhea, the weapons specialist, was the first to notice something unusual. Captain, the weapons system, it's not just energy-based. There's something else here. Some kind of projectile launcher, but I've never seen anything like it. Alex joined her, studying the unfamiliar interface. Can you figure it out? Rhea's eyes gleamed with determination. Give me some time. I'll crack it. Meanwhile, Mia was deep in the ship's systems, uncovering more secrets. This ship isn't just old, she said, her voice filled with wonder. It's ancient. Like, pre-Galactic Union ancient. And it wasn't built by any species we know. The tech is different. Alien in a way I can't even describe. Alex frowned. So what's it doing in human hands? Why would the Union give us something like this? Mia shrugged. Maybe they didn't know what it was. Or maybe they thought it was just a broken relic. Either way, they messed up. The crew worked in silence for a while, each lost in their tasks. But the calm didn't last. An alert blared, snapping them to attention. We've got a problem, Jake said, his voice tense. There's a ship on an intercept course. It's not Union. It's something else. Alex leaned over the console, studying the readings. The ship was unlike anything they'd seen before, sleek, black, and radiating an aura of menace. Can they see us? Alex asked. Jake shook his head. Not yet. But they're scanning the area. If they get too close. Alex made a decision. Drop the cloak. Let's see what they want. The rust bucket shimmered back into visibility. Almost immediately, the black ship hailed them. The crew exchanged uneasy glances as Alex accepted the transmission. The screen flickered to life, revealing a figure clad in dark armor, their face obscured by a helmet. Human vessel, the figure said, their voice cold and mechanical. You are in possession of technology that does not belong to you. Surrender it, or be destroyed. Alex's jaw tightened. And who are you to make demands? The figure leaned closer. We are the Harbingers. And that ship you call your own is ours by right. You have one chance to comply. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the crew in stunned silence. Well, Jake said, breaking the tension. This just got a lot more complicated. Alex's eyes narrowed. Rhea, get those weapons online. Mia, keep working on the protocol. We're not surrendering this ship to anyone. The crew braced themselves as the black ship closed in, its weapons glowing ominously. The rust bucket was no longer useless. But now, it had a target on its back. The black ship loomed closer, its sleek, predatory design casting an ominous shadow over the rust bucket. The crew scrambled to their stations, their earlier triumph replaced by a tense urgency. "Rhea, status on the weapons?" Alex barked, his eyes fixed on the approaching vessel. "Almost there," Rhea replied, her fingers flying over the console. "The new system is weird. It's like it's alive. But I think I've got it." Mia, still buried in the ship's systems, called out, "Captain, I've found something. The Eclipse Protocol isn't just a system upgrade. It's a key. This ship was designed to fight something. Something big." Alex didn't have time to process that. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out later. Right now, we need to survive." The black ship opened fire, its energy beams slicing through the void. The rust bucket's new shields absorbed the impact, but the force of the blast shook the ship violently. "Shields at 75%, Rhea reported. "We can't take many more hits like that." "Jake, evasive maneuvers," Alex ordered. Jake yanked the controls, sending the ship into a spiraling dive. The black ship pursued relentlessly, its weapons firing in precise, calculated bursts. "Rhea, return fire," Alex shouted. Rhea activated the new weapon system. The ship shuddered as a strange, glowing projectile launched from its hull. It streaked toward the black ship, striking its shields with a blinding flash of light. The black ship reeled, its shields flickering but holding. "That bought us some time," Rhea said, her voice tight. "But it's not enough." Mia suddenly stood up, her eyes wide. "Captain, I think I've figured it out. The Eclipse Protocol isn't just a key. It's a weapon. A really, really big weapon." Alex turned to her. "Can you activate it?" Mia hesitated. "I think so. But it's risky. If I'm wrong." "Do it," Alex interrupted. "We don't have a choice." Mia nodded and began typing furiously. The ship's systems hummed louder, the lights dimming as power was diverted to the protocol. The black ship fired again, its beams slamming into the rust bucket's shields. "Shields at 40%. Rhea shouted. "Almost there," Mia muttered, her hands trembling. "Just a little more." The black ship closed in, its weapons charging for another volley. Then, the rust bucket's systems surged. A deep, resonant hum filled the ship, and the lights flickered back on, brighter than before. "It's ready," Mia said, her voice filled with awe. Alex didn't hesitate. "Fire." The ship's hull glowed as the Eclipse Protocol activated. A massive beam of energy erupted from the rust bucket, striking the black ship with devastating force. The enemy vessel's shields shattered, and its hull began to crack under the onslaught. The black ship tried to retreat, but it was too late. The beam intensified, tearing through the ship like paper. With a final, blinding flash, the black ship exploded, its debris scattering into the void. The crew stared in stunned silence as the energy beam faded, leaving only the faint glow of the destroyed ship's remains. "Well," Jake said, breaking the silence. "That was something." Alex let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "Mia, what the hell was that?" Mia shook her head, her eyes still wide. "I don't know. But whatever it was, it's part of this ship. And I think we've only scratched the surface." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They had just unleashed a weapon of unimaginable power. And now, they had to figure out what it meant, and who else might be coming for it. The rust bucket drifted in the aftermath of the battle, its systems humming softly as the crew caught their breath. The destruction of the black ship had left them with more questions than answers. "Who were they?" Rhea asked, her voice low. "And why did they want this ship so badly?" Alex shook his head. "I don't know. But if they're willing to kill for it, this ship is more valuable than we thought. Mia was already back at her console, scanning the debris field. Captain, I'm picking up a signal. It's faint, but it's coming from one of the wreckage fragments. Alex frowned. Can you isolate it? Mia nodded, her fingers dancing over the controls. A moment later, a distorted voice crackled over the comms. Repeat. Harbinger fleet, coordinates, human vessel, priority target. The transmission cut off, leaving the crew in stunned silence. They called us a priority target, Jake said, his voice tense. That doesn't sound good. Alex's jaw tightened. Mia, can you trace where that signal was going? Mia worked quickly, her eyes scanning the data. It's headed toward the outer rim. Somewhere beyond Union space. But I can't pinpoint the exact location. Alex turned to the crew. We need to find out who these harbingers are and why they want this ship. If they're coming after us, we need to be ready. Rhea crossed her arms. We just took out one of their ships. What if they send more? Or worse, what if they send something bigger? Alex didn't have an answer. Instead, he turned to Mia. What else can you tell us about the Eclipse Protocol? If we're going to fight them, we need to know what we're dealing with. Mia pulled up the schematics on the main display. From what I can tell, the protocol taps into some kind of ancient energy source. It's not just a weapon, it's a power core, a shield generator, and a propulsion system all in one. But it's unstable. Every time we use it, it puts a strain on the ship's systems. If we push it too far, we could burn out the entire ship. Alex nodded. So we use it as a last resort. For now, we focus on learning everything we can about this ship and its systems. Mia, keep working on the protocol. Rhea, see if you can improve our defenses. Jake, plot a course to the outer rim. If the harbingers are out there, we need to find them before they find us. The crew sprang into action, each of them focused on their tasks. But as they worked, a sense of unease settled over the ship. They had stumbled into something far bigger than themselves, and they were only beginning to understand the stakes. Hours later, as the rust bucket approached the edge of known space, Mia called out from her console. Captain, I've found something. It's a message. Embedded in the ship's systems. Alex joined her, staring at the strange symbols on the screen. Can you translate it? Mia hesitated. It's not in any language I've seen before. But I think it's a warning. The crew gathered around as Mia played the message. A deep, resonant voice filled the bridge, speaking in a language none of them understood. But the tone was unmistakable, it was a warning, urgent and dire. As the message ended, the crew exchanged uneasy glances. What do you think it means? Jake asked. Alex's expression was grim. It means we're in over our heads. But we don't have a choice. We have to keep going. The rust bucket pressed on, heading deeper into the unknown. The crew knew the risks, but they also knew one thing for certain, this ship was no longer useless. It was humanity's best hope, and its greatest weapon. The rust bucket ventured deeper into the uncharted reaches of the outer rim, the crew tense and alert. The mysterious message from the ship's systems had left them on edge, and the threat of the harbingers loomed large. Mia worked tirelessly to decode the message, her frustration growing with each passing hour. It's like nothing I've ever seen, she muttered, rubbing her temples. The language is ancient, but the structure is almost alien. It's not just a warning. It's a map. Or a set of coordinates. Alex leaned over her shoulder, studying the strange symbols. Can you make sense of it? Mia nodded slowly. I think so. It's pointing to a location, a star system on the far edge of the galaxy. But there's something else. It mentions a gate. I don't know what that means, but it sounds important. Alex straightened, his mind racing. If the Harbingers are after this ship, and this gate is connected to it, we need to get there first. Jake, set a course for those coordinates. Jake hesitated. Captain, that's deep into uncharted space. We don't know what's out there. Alex's voice was firm. We don't have a choice. If the Harbingers get to this gate before we do, we're done for. The crew exchanged uneasy glances but didn't argue. They knew the stakes. As the rust bucket hurtled toward the unknown, Rhea worked on improving the ship's defenses. The new weapon system was powerful, but it was also unpredictable. She spent hours tinkering with the controls, trying to stabilize it. I think I've got it, she said finally, her voice tinged with relief. The energy output is more consistent now. But we still need to be careful. One wrong move, and we could overload the entire system. Alex nodded. Good work. Let's hope we don't have to use it. But hope was a fragile thing in the depths of space. Hours turned into days as the ship traveled further from known space. The crew grew restless, the tension on the bridge palpable. Then, as they approached the coordinates from the message, the ship's sensors picked up something unusual. Captain, Jake called out, his voice tense. I'm picking up a massive energy signature. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Alex joined him at the console, studying the readings. The energy signature was enormous, pulsing with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. That's it, Mia said, her voice filled with awe. The gate. It's real. The crew gathered on the bridge as the rust bucket approached the source of the energy signature. What they saw left them speechless. Floating in the void was a massive structure, ancient and weathered but still intact. It was circular, with intricate patterns etched into its surface, and it glowed with a faint, otherworldly light. That's not just a gate, Rhea said, her voice barely above a whisper. It's a portal. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Mia, can you tell what it does? Mia shook her head. Not without getting closer. But if I had to guess, it's some kind of interstellar gateway. A way to travel vast distances in an instant. The crew fell silent, the implications sinking in. If the Harbingers were after this gate, it could mean they had the ability to move their fleet anywhere in the galaxy, or beyond. Before anyone could speak, the ship's sensors blared an alert. We've got company, Jake said, his voice tight. Multiple ships incoming. Harbinger signatures. Alex's jaw tightened. They found us. Rhea, get the weapons online. Mia, see if you can activate the gate. We need to buy ourselves some time. The crew sprang into action as the Harbinger ships closed in. The rust bucket was no longer just a ship, it was humanity's last hope. And the battle for the gate was about to begin. The Harbinger fleet emerged from the void, their sleek black ships forming a menacing wall between the rust bucket and the ancient gate. The crew braced themselves, the tension on the bridge thick enough to cut with a knife. Rhea, status on weapons? Alex asked, his voice steadied despite the chaos. Ready to go, Rhea replied, her hands hovering over the controls. But there are too many of them. We can't take them all. Alex turned to Mia. What about the gate? Can we activate it? Mia's fingers flew over the console. I'm trying, but it's not responding. It needs some kind of key, a signal or a code. I think it's tied to the Eclipse protocol. Then use it, Alex said. We don't have a choice. Mia hesitated. If I activate the protocol again, it could overload the ship. We might not survive. Alex met her gaze. Do it. Mia nodded and began the activation sequence. The ship shuddered as the Eclipse protocol powered up, the lights dimming and the hum of the engines growing louder. The Harbinger ships opened fire, their energy beams slamming into the rust bucket's shields. Shields at 50%. Rhea shouted. Hold them off. Alex ordered. Rhea returned fire, the ship's new weapons unleashing bursts of energy that struck the Harbinger ships with devastating precision. 2 of the enemy vessels exploded in fiery bursts, but more quickly took their place. Gates activating. Mia called out. The ancient structure began to glow, its surface rippling like water. A swirling vortex of light formed at its center, pulsing with energy. The Harbinger ships redoubled their attack, their weapons battering the rust bucket's shields. Shields at 20%. Rhea warned. We're not going to last much longer. Jake added, his voice strained. Alex gripped the edge of the console. Mia, can we go through the gate? Mia nodded. I think so. But I don't know where it leads. Anywhere's better than here, Alex said. Jake, take us in. Jake steered the ship toward the gate, the Harbinger ships hot on their tail. The vortex grew larger, its light blinding. Shields failing. Rhea shouted. The rust bucket surged forward, plunging into the vortex just as the Harbinger ships unleashed a final volley. The ship was engulfed in light, the crew momentarily blinded. When the light faded, they found themselves in an entirely new star system, one unlike anything they had ever seen. The crew stared in awe at the alien stars and strange planets around them. Where are we? Jake asked, his voice filled with wonder. Mia checked the sensors. I don't know. But one thing's for sure, we're a long way from home. Alex smiled faintly. Then let's make sure we're ready for whatever comes next. The rust bucket was no longer useless. It was humanity's ultimate weapon, and their ticket to a future they could barely imagine.